on a freezing night when the wind screamed down the empty railway line like a wounded animal. A tiny bundle lay motionless beside the rusted train tracks, wrapped in nothing but a thin blanket, and a note pinned to the cloth that said only one word: Unwanted. No name, no explanation, no promise of return, just a brutal stamp from a world that had already decided she had no place in it. The baby's faint whimpers were almost swallowed by the night as the moon hid behind clouds, but fate had already set another set of footsteps moving toward her. Miles away, a cowboy named Cole Warrington guided his old wagon under the dim lantern light, making his way home after a long cattle run. Cole was a man hardened by storms, loss, and the merciless land of the West, yet his heart still held a softness he never showed to anyone. He had lost his wife 3 years earlier, and ever since that night he had forgotten how to smile, how to hope, how to believe that God still left miracles lying around in the dirt. But that night, as lightning flickered on the horizon, his horse refused to move forward, snorting anxiously toward the tracks. "Easy, boy," Cole muttered, stepping down with weary boots crunching gravel. And then he saw it, the small bundle, shivering, abandoned, almost invisible in the darkness. His breath caught, his chest tightened, and for a moment he simply stared, because he couldn't believe that someone would leave a child here at the mercy of wolves, cold or worse, a passing train that would erase the little life without ever knowing it existed. Cole knelt and lifted the blanket, and when the baby's large, tear-filled eyes blinked at him, something inside him cracked open like dry earth meeting, rain after months of drought. She reached her tiny hand toward his coat, gripping it like she had chosen him, claimed him, and begged him silently not to walk away. When he found the note, rage surged through him, not the wild, reckless kind, but the quiet, furious ache of a man who understood abandonment far too well. "Unwanted," Cole whispered, shaking his head. "Not anymore, not ever again." And with that vow, he wrapped the baby against his chest, shielding her from the icy wind, and climbed into his wagon. He held her close all the way home, whispering to her gently as though she were made of glass. As dawn broke over the ranchlands, turning the fields gold, word began to spread that Cole Warrington had brought home a baby. The town was small. Gossip traveled faster than horses. Some folks were shocked, some curious, some even judgmental, but Cole didn't care. He fed her warm milk with trembling hands, struggled to wrap her tiny body in clothes he borrowed from the local seamstress, and rocked her by the old fireplace where he once sat with his wife. Over the next days, the little girl, whom Cole named Hope, filled the empty cabin with new life. Her cries, her curious coos, her little fists waving at the dust particles dancing in the sunlight, all reminded Cole that the world, no matter how cruel, still had the ability to give second chances. He worked the ranch with Hope tied against his chest in a soft sling, and at night he read old storybooks aloud, even though she barely understood a word. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, the man who had forgotten how to live found himself learning all over again. As months passed, Hope grew stronger, brighter, and her laughter became the sound every motherless and fatherless heart longed for. But then one autumn evening, a stranger rode into town, well-dressed woman with sharp eyes and an even sharper voice. She claimed she was there on legal matters, investigating abandoned infants and tracing family ties. The townsfolk whispered, worried for Cole. Would they take Hope away? Did someone suddenly want her after all these months? Cole's jaw tightened at the thought. For the first time in years, he had something precious to lose. When the woman finally reached Cole's ranch and saw Hope in his arms, healthy, smiling, adored, her stern expression softened. She read the note he handed her, shook her head in disbelief, and told him that no one had come looking for Hope at all. In fact, the city records confirmed the heartbreaking truth. The baby's birth mother had fled town the same night she abandoned her. She was gone. She wasn't coming back. The woman asked what Cole wanted to do going forward. Cole didn't hesitate. I want to give her a name, a home, and a life better than the one she started with. And with that, She stamped the adoption papers right there on the wooden table, sealing the fate of a little girl who once lay on cold steel tracks. Moments from death, Hope grew into a bright, wild-hearted child who ran across the open fields with the sun lighting her hair. And every person in town eventually agreed she was exactly where she was meant to be. Whenever anyone asked how Cole found her, Cole would simply smile, a rare, full smile, and say, "I didn't find her. She found me." And so, from a night of despair, came a story of rebirth, love, and destiny. A reminder that sometimes life leaves the most precious gifts in the unlikeliest places.